The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Waldu, and we got a great show for you. Of course, Bobcats win. They forced Game 7. Playoffs not in the foreseeable future for the Edmonton Oilers, and these guys will tell you why. Or if you saw their game against Calgary, you definitely know why. And we'll also talk about Michael Vick. He found a new home, so has Mark Sanchez, and many more. Plus, our guests. We can't forget them. My co-host as well, Greg Buchanan.
Hey, Moses.
And Rod Kirby, of course. You are the president of minor football here in the city, as well as the Red Dogs head coach. And congratulations, by the way, for making it to Tier 1.
Thanks, Moses. Appreciate it.
Awesome. We'll talk about the Lloydminster Bobcats and kick it off with the AJHL. What's really neat here is I personally didn't see this coming. I saw them maybe losing in 6 games, a hard-fought series, but I really thought the talent would overshine the grit that the Bobcats had. Well, down 3-1, I thought I had this in the bag. Apparently I'm wrong. And that's what's great about sports. You never know what can happen, especially in a playoff. So the Bobcats go on the road, win a great road game, Game 5, to come back home last night. And it was probably the most complete game I've ever seen the Bobcats play. A few moments you could say. I know Gary Van Herway is very meticulous, and I know he mentioned in the post-game interviews that 5-on-5 he felt that they got beat quite a bit. But overall, what are your thoughts on the Bobcats, and do you think they can continue this momentum going to Game 7?
Absolutely. Like you said, it's a 7-game series, so sometimes the grit will overtake the talent that's on the ice or any other sport that plays a prolonged series. They've won back-to-back games in huge fashion, one in overtime in Game 5, and then last night at home in Game 6. Momentum's on their side, absolutely. They need to come out hard like they have been the last couple games. Keep hold of that momentum, because it's a funny thing. Momentum can change awful fast. It's a matter of one big hit, one mistake you make, and then you get a bad goal against you. So they've got to come out hard, try to get that first goal. It's going to be huge.
You know, knock on wood, I think this is wood. If the Bobcats win on Wednesday, if you look back at the series, they would have won 3 of 4 games in Fort Mac against a team that was unbeatable pretty well all season at their home barn. And trust me, it's not an easy place to play.
They took 5 out of 6 against Lloyd in the regular season as well.
It's a tough barn to win in, and hats off to the Bobcats. You know what? I thought more than anything on Monday here in Lloyd, they played more of a road game. They played more like how they do on the road at home. And if they do that again on Wednesday, and the first 10 minutes on Wednesday is going to dictate the whole game. If the Bobcats jump out and they score, that home ice advantage of Fort Mac goes out the window, because all of a sudden you have 1,800 people in Fort Mac rooting for the guys in the blue and gold. Guys in the blue and gold are down by a goal. They're going to be gripping their sticks a little tighter. They're going to be gambling. All of a sudden you have some odd man rushes for the Bobcats going the other way. It could really snowball.
How big was Lyndon Springer coming back? He got his 2-game suspension reduced to 1, came back in Game 6 and was a factor. Not just on the goal sheet, he did have a goal, but he also made some great plays defensively, stopping Ryan Bloom and breaking a couple odd man rushes. So guys, do you feel that his implement has been huge, considering all the injuries that they've kind of piled up recently?
Well, he's an equalizer. He's a big, tough, physical kid as well. So he's going to add that element to the game as well as his defensive ability. So yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's like adding, when you compare it to the NHL, even if you add that extra player, they got him back. He could take them that next step to beat Fort Mac, and I know he's going to make a difference on the ice.
Springer's a tough guy. He's a big kid. He plays a lot of minutes in the back end. And when you look as a coach, if you have a defenseman that can log 20 minutes a game for you, that's huge. That's a lot of minutes to eat up. And on top of that, he makes everybody else, which is a bit of a smaller team, feel a little bit bigger, a little bit tougher, because you know what? The big kid has my back. And when you have Springer in the lineup, they're a different hockey team.
And what's also different is that they don't take the dumb penalties or retaliate. And if you saw what happened with Fort Mac in Game 6, was they took a lot of penalties trying to instigate something. We saw that with Brennan Saulnier, who's been notorious for doing that. That's his job. But took a couple shots. One, a headshot that he received a 10-minute misconduct and 2-minute penalty for on Austin McDonald. Then there was another play that the Bobcats didn't like that involved Adam Wilcox on Austin Yaremchuk, which led to him being out of Game 7, is what's being reported. So guys, is there suspensions coming along the way for the Oil Barons, or do you see that coming along with both hits?
I think on the first one there should be. It was an obvious elbow to the head. I mean, I saw the footage. Definitely, that should be a couple game suspension because there was intent to injure there, no matter what anyone says. The second one, from the angle I saw, did look like a clean hit. Yaremchuk looked like he was maybe a little off balance against the boards, and he got pinned pretty hard by the shoulder there. So it looked to me like he suffered a shoulder injury to me.
Yeah, the first one, the only thing I question on the first one is because the Bobcat player is kind of going down at the time, and he's kind of crouched down. His head's basically at below his shoulder area if he was standing up straight. But the Fort Mac player did go out of his way.
And reputations do precede you, much like Springer has had before.
And you love players like the Fort Mac kid in your lineup. You love him if he's on your team because you love players. I love players that walk that fine line, and they can go either way. They could either be a good boy on a given night or they could be a real bad boy. And sometimes when those kids play bad, they're the most effective. But it's the fine line of staying out of the box. So it's a tough decision for the league, and to suspend a player heading into a Game 7, I wouldn't want to be getting that phone call if I was a league.
Well, we'll see what happens there. Should be a great game Wednesday night. Talking about great games, if you're a Calgary Flames fan, it was really great. There's a lot of highs, especially. This is your first year of your rebuild, and there are a lot of positives. The Oilers are in year 5, 6, we'll call it. And I guess
8, 9.
7, 8, whatever you want to throw in.
Back in the 90s.
But it's been really, really bad. And I think rock bottom has finally hit. Yeah. Is that safe to say, what happened between Calgary and Edmonton with the 8-1 drubbing? And, of course, the fan throwing his jersey on the ice, as well as, I want to get to this, Ben Scrivens getting frustrated and throwing the jersey back into the stands. You heard Ben Scrivens in the post-game interview saying, you know what, you can spit on me or spit on any of us if we're having a bad game, I get that, but don't throw the jersey. This has a lot of heritage, respect it. Do you like how both agreed? I don't mind the fan throwing the jersey. I don't mind Ben Scrivens. What do you guys say?
Okay, I relate this. When people are talking about jersey, just a jersey, you know what? Go to Montreal and do that. The person that threw the Montreal Canadian jersey on the ice in Montreal, security wouldn't have to worry about him. There'd be a lot of people jumping on top of that guy, and I wouldn't want to see what happens to that fan. So there is heritage. You're not just throwing that jersey on the ice for the guys that are on the ice at that time. You're throwing that jersey in disrespect of Paul Coffey, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Yari Curry, all the great teams of the past. You insulted the Oilers organization for doing that. And why does a fan spend that kind of cash to come to the rink, to have a lower bowl ticket, because that wasn't thrown from the upper deck. That was thrown for club seating. Club seating goes for $100 and more, plus your other beverages and everything else, and a jersey's going to $100 and more. So you spent that kind of cash to be an idiot. Congratulations.
So you don't like him, but you like the response from Ben Scrivens.
I love the response by Scrivens.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. I think that's, I have more respect for him after saying that and sticking up for the entire organization.
Well, a lot more 30 Scrivens jerseys will be sold. What do you say, Rod?
Well, I agree. I mean, I don't understand, for one, why you'd want to throw a $150 jersey on the ice.
It's a lot of money
Doesn't
to
make
be
any
thrown on
sense
the
to
ice.
me, yeah.
But again, you could say that about buying an Oiler ticket recently.
Yeah, but and I agree. I like what Scrivens says. And it shows, I think, that Scrivens wants to be there. He wants to be there. He's proud to be on that team, and he stood up for that team, not only now, but the teams of the past. I think it was a great response by him.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, discontent. Of course, I'm talking about Reimer and his lovely coach with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll tell you more coming up in sports.